Welcome to AI Ascent with Dr. Jonathan Luckett, where we're deep diving into one of the most pressing topics of our time, artificial intelligence. AI is rapidly changing our world, influencing everything from how we communicate and work to healthcare and even international security. But what does it mean for us as humans? Today, we're exploring a significant document from the Catholic Church, specifically a note on the relationship between artificial intelligence and human intelligence, approved by Pope Francis and released in January 2025 by the Vatican. This isn't just another technical analysis, it's a reflection on AI from a perspective deeply rooted in what it means to be human, created in the image of God. The document sets out to distinguish between the concept of intelligence as applied to AI versus human intelligence. It explores the rich Christian understanding of human intelligence and provides essential ethical guidelines. As AI systems are designed to imitate and sometimes surpass human abilities in specific tasks, this note raises crucial questions about anthropological and ethical challenges, particularly in areas like relationships, education, work, and healthcare. At its heart, the document emphasizes that AI is a creation of human hands and must be used to serve human dignity and promote the common good. It calls for a renewed wisdom of heart to navigate the opportunities and risks of AI, ensuring that technology enhances rather than diminishes our humanity. Join us on this deep dive as we unpack the insights from this important note and consider its call for responsible engagement with artificial intelligence.
Welcome to the deep dive. You've given us a really fascinating document here, this note on the relationship between artificial intelligence and human intelligence. And our mission today really is to unpack its core ideas. This isn't just, a technical paper.
At all.
It's a perspective that brings, centuries of philosophical and theological thought right into this huge question of our time, how AI fits into what it means to be human.
That's exactly right. Instead of just focusing on the code or the machines, this document steps way back.
Right.
It asks these really fundamental questions about intelligence itself, truth, human dignity, and how AI stacks up or maybe doesn't when you look at it through that particular lens.
Exactly. It's like holding AI up to an ancient mirror, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
So we're going to go through it, pull out the key insights, and see what this rich tradition tells us about how maybe we should think about AI, interact with it in our lives right now. Okay, let's dive in. So the document gets straight to it right at the start. It says we need to be really careful using the same word, intelligence, for both humans and AI. Why is that distinction so critical for them?
Well, it's because, as they point out, when we talk about AI intelligence, we're usually talking about something purely functional.
Functional.
Yeah. John McCarthy, one of the AI pioneers, he basically framed it as making machines behave in ways that would be called intelligent if a human were so behaving.
Okay, so it's about the behavior, the output, performing tasks.
Exactly.
Like recommending the next movie I should watch, or translating languages, or spotting patterns in huge data sets.
Precisely. Most AI today, what people often call narrow AI, it's brilliant at these specific tasks.
Yeah.
It does it using statistical inference, looking for patterns in just massive amounts of data to make predictions or generate some kind of output. It can mimic certain ways we think cognitively, and sometimes it even comes up with solutions programmers didn't expect.
Right.
But the judgment is always about the output,
Yeah.
Is it useful for the task? Not how it got there.
And of course, there's all this talk now about building artificial general intelligence, AGI, or even superintelligence that could, theoretically anyway, surpass us.
Yes, those concepts are definitely out there, discussed in the field. But the document immediately sort of puts the brakes on. It cautions against just assuming that even if we could build such systems, they'd possess intelligence in the same sense a human does. It really highlights that we're applying the same word to very different kinds of phenomena.
Okay.
And what's interesting is that it insists on exploring the nature of that intelligence, not just measuring its performance.
Okay, so AI is functional, task-driven, statistical, algorithmic. How does this document define human intelligence then? This is where it really seems to broaden the picture.
It defines it as a faculty of the person in his or her entirety. That's a key phrase.
The whole person.
Yes. It's not just a brain in a vat or a processing unit. It involves a much, much wider spectrum. Abstraction, yes, logic.
Sure.
But also our emotions, our creativity, our aesthetic sense, moral judgment, even, religious sensibilities. That famous test, the Turing test.
Yeah, can you tell if it's human?
Right. It just looks at the text output. The document says that completely misses this whole rich complexity of what human intelligence is.
So the document makes a really strong claim then. It's saying AI has incredible, sophisticated abilities to perform tasks, but not the ability to think like a human, and that it's ultimately just, what was the phrase, a pale reflection of humanity, a product of it.
That's a crucial distinction for them, yes. They see human thought as inherently creative, something that can go beyond its programming, so to speak. AI operates within a specific, logical, mathematical framework that gives it power, but also inherent limits. Human intelligence, on the other hand, they see it as developing organically.
Organically?
Yeah, shaped by our embodied experience, what we sense, what we feel, our interactions with others, our unique personal history. The document basically argues AI lacks that richness because it doesn't have body like we do. It doesn't have real relationships, and it isn't oriented towards truth and goodness in the way humans are capable of being.
This document really, it grounds its definition of human intelligence in a very deep tradition, doesn't it? Philosophy, theology.
Absolutely.
It talks about rationality, embodiment, being relational, our connection to truth, to creation. Let's unpack these layers because they seem central to how it then views AI.
Definitely. It starts with rationality, and it actually quotes Aristotle.
Yeah.
All people by nature desire to know.
Okay, that fundamental drive.
Right. This capacity for abstract knowledge, for understanding, is presented as something distinctly human.
And it brings in St. Thomas Aquinas. Now, this might sound a bit academic, but they clearly think it's important, this distinction between reason, or ratio, and intellect, intellectus.
Yes, it's a key distinction for understanding their view. Think of ratio as the step-by-step thinking.
The logical process.
The analysis, the deduction, working things out. AI can kind of mimic parts of that, right?
Sure.
But intellectus is described differently. It's more the intuitive grasp of truth, that direct understanding, the aha moment.
Okay.
In humans, they argue, these are intertwined, two sides of our one rational capacity. And crucially, being rational isn't just logic puzzles. It involves the whole person willing, loving, choosing, desiring. Our reason is integrated with our will, with our actions.
It also really emphasizes embodiment. We're a unity of body and soul. Our intelligence isn't just this, floating mind.
Exactly. While the soul or intellect might transcend the purely physical, the document states clearly that for its normal way of knowing, the human intellect needs the body.
Needs the body.
Our intelligence is rooted in our physical life, our senses, our experience in the world. And from this document's theological viewpoint, the incarnation, God becoming human, profoundly underlines the importance of this embodied condition.
And then there's relationality, the idea that was ordered by their very nature to interpersonal communion. We're not isolated thinkers.
No, we learn and understand with others through others. Our intelligence, the document argues, finds its fullest expression in dialogue, in working together, in solidarity.
That seems very central.
It is, and it flows from their theological understanding of God as a communion and that core human calling to love God and neighbor. That quote they use from 1 Corinthians is powerful, isn't it?
Yeah. If I understand all mysteries, but do not have love, I am nothing.
Exactly. It's not just about knowing stuff.
So speaking of knowing, it talks about our relationship with truth. Human intelligence is called God's gift fashioned for the assimilation of truth. It sounds like our minds are sort of built for truth.
That's the idea. There's this innate drive towards reality. Human intelligence isn't stuck just processing data points. It can grasp deeper truths, meanings. And it's pulled towards truth itself with a capital T. This involves our ability to understand meaning semantics, not just syntax, and our creativity. And interestingly, they link this openness to truth directly with authentic love or charity.
And finally, there's this concept of stewardship from Genesis, right? To till and keep creation.
Yes, that's brought in as a way our intelligence and skills are meant to be used. Caring for the world, developing it, but guiding that development according to a higher purpose, let's say.
So science and tech fit in there.
They're seen as part of this stewardship. When used rightly, they can even glorify God, and creation itself can sort of point us towards or help us understand divine intelligence.
Okay, so if you put all that together, our rationality being both analytical and intuitive, our intelligence being embodied, relational, truth-seeking, called to stewardship, it paints a picture of human intelligence as part of the whole person. It's not just logical skill, or like broader.
Much broader. The document explicitly mentions things like the wisdom of an artisan or indigenous knowledge, interpersonal skills. These aspects involve integrating truth into our moral and spiritual lives, guiding actions by goodness, not just by facts. It's also about being able to appreciate, to savor what's true, good, and beautiful. They quote the poet Paul Claudel, "Intelligence is nothing without delight."
I like that.
Yeah. It suggests an openness to ultimate questions, an orientation towards the true and the good, and even a necessary contemplative dimension to our intelligence.
Okay, so with this really rich, broad definition of human intelligence laid out, the document then pivots to the ethical challenges AI presents using this very framework. And it starts with a fundamental point. Tech isn't neutral.
That's such a critical starting point. Technology isn't just this thing that exists independently. It's made by humans.
Right.
So it inevitably embodies the values, the assumptions, the worldviews of its creators, owners, users, regulators. And therefore, the argument goes, it must be directed towards serving the human person and the common good.
Which leads to, I think, one of the most crucial ethical points they make. Only humans are moral agents. Machines aren't. Seems obvious, maybe, but the implications for responsibility are huge.
They really are. Because when an AI system makes a decision, especially a complex one where you can't easily trace the why.
Like a black box.
Exactly. Assigning responsibility if something goes wrong becomes incredibly difficult. But the document is absolutely clear. Ultimate responsibility for choices made using AI. It has to rest with humans. It quotes Pope Francis saying, the machine makes a technical choice, but humans, in their hearts, are capable of deciding. The machine functions. The human makes a moral decision.
The document also comes back to that idea of the technocratic paradigm you mentioned. It warns that AI could kind of fuel this idea that, technology can fix everything. And that might lead us to sideline human dignity or community, just for efficiency's sake.
And it explicitly rejects that. Human dignity, the common good, these are presented as non-negotiable. True progress, it argues, quoting Laudato Si', has to be healthier, more human, more social, more integral.
So AI should actually help us push against that reductionist mindset.
That's the hope expressed? Yes. It should be a tool against that paradigm, not something that reinforces it.
Okay, so let's look at how they apply this framework to specific areas. First up, society itself.
Well, on the one hand, they acknowledge AI could potentially help society. Maybe assist the poor or help counter certain biases by analyzing data patterns.
Okay, potential upsides.
But, and this is a major concern they raise, it also risks making inequality worse, widening the digital divide, and concentrating immense power in just a few hands.
That concentration of power feels really significant. They worry about manipulation?
Yes, manipulation of public opinion, influencing democratic processes. The potential for misuse in shaping how we think or vote is seen as substantial.
What about human relationships? AI can connect people, sure, but the document sees a downside too.
A significant one. It can actually hinder real encounter, lead to more isolation.
Yeah.
Authentic relationships, they stress, need you to be fully present with another person, their joys, their pains, everything.
And with generative AI now.
It gets harder to even know if you're talking to a person or a machine. And they warn against anthropomorphizing AI, treating it like a person. It's seen as problematic, even a serious ethical risk, because it's a tool. It's not a relational being like a human.
And the document is very clear. AI cannot genuinely feel empathy.
It can simulate it, absolutely, but it can't replicate that deep, personal, relational core of real empathy. Misrepresenting AI as a person is called a grave ethical violation.
Especially where?
Especially if used deceptively in education or personal relationships, maybe even sexuality. There's a strong warning that replacing genuine relationships with God, with others, with purely technological interactions, risks creating a kind of idol, substituting authenticity for a lifeless image.
Okay, let's turn to the economy, labor. AI could boost productivity, maybe create new kinds of jobs.
That's the potential positive spin. The flip side is the risk of forcing workers to adapt to the machine's rhythm, de-skilling them, subjecting them to more surveillance, making tasks more rigid, and less human.
And the document really sounds an alarm if AI starts replacing workers instead of just helping them.
Yes, there's a stark warning about the risk of disproportionate benefit for the few at the price of the impoverishment of many. Quoting a papal message.
Right.
It hammers home that core principle. Human lives have value in themselves, not just based on economic output. They quote, Gaudium est spes. The order of things must be subordinate to the order of persons.
Work is for the person, not just profit.
Exactly. Work is for human development, for dignity. So AI should assist human judgment, human creativity, not try to eliminate them.
Healthcare. This seems like an area with enormous AI potential. Diagnostics, treatment planning, access.
Huge potential, definitely. The document acknowledges it could even enhance compassionate and loving closeness, strangely enough.
How so?
Maybe by freeing up time for caregivers or providing better information. BUT, and it's a very big but.
Okay.
Replacing that fundamental human relationship between the patient and the provider, that would be deeply detrimental. It could worsen loneliness, dehumanize care. Decisions about treatment, they insist, must stay with human professionals.
And using AI to decide who gets treated based purely on, say, economic metrics.
That's specifically called out as a dangerous example of the technocratic paradigm in action.
Right.
It risks making existing health inequalities even worse, potentially creating what they call a medicine for the rich. The principle remains, AI in health must serve the common good, not deepen disparities.
Education is another huge area, and it's not just about facts, is it? It's formation.
Holistic formation, yeah. And the teacher-student relationship is seen as indispensable for that.
But AI can help.
Oh, absolutely. It can be a valuable resource. Provide access, offer support, maybe give personalized feedback. However, the document cautions strongly against over-reliance. It could erode independent thinking skills, critical analysis.
We're just getting the answer fed to you.
Right, instead of grappling with the question. Plus, increased screen dependence. And education about using AI critically is vital. Then there's the whole issue of AI generating biased or just plain wrong information.
Hallucinations.
Exactly. Undermining the whole process if it's not used transparently and with discernment.
Which leads right into misinformation, deepfakes. A massive concern AI is fueling.
A huge one. AI's ability to generate incredibly realistic fake content is, well, it's alarming.
And deliberate misuse.
It's called a severe problem. Deepfakes cause real harm to people's dignity. And beyond individuals, this stuff distorts our relationship with reality, with each other. It erodes trust, fuels polarization. It really undermines the basis of society.
So what's the answer? The document calls for a collective effort.
Yes, it emphasizes that everyone has a role. Being diligent, verifying information, and crucially, not sharing degrading or manipulative content ourselves. Taking responsibility.
Privacy and surveillance are kind of linked issues here too. Our data
is seen as an expression of who we are, our relationships, and processing it gives power. Privacy is framed as essential for protecting our inner life, our freedom.
And AI makes surveillance easier.
Much easier, because it's so good at finding patterns in data. So protecting privacy becomes even more vital. Using AI for surveillance in ways that exploit people or restrict their freedom is called unjustifiable.
And they specifically warn against social scoring, using data trails to judge people.
Yes. There's real concern there. Past behavior shouldn't lock someone out of future chances to change or grow. Algorithms, they argue, shouldn't limit dignity, compassion, mercy, forgiveness, or hope. These are fundamental human values.
Okay, what about the environment, our common home? AI could help there. Climate modeling, sustainable farming.
True, there are potential positive uses. But there's always a but. The technology itself uses enormous amounts of energy and water. It has a significant environmental footprint, contributing to emissions.
So we need greener tech.
We need sustainable tech solutions, yes. But the document stresses it's deeper than that. We also need a change in us, in humanity. Rejecting that mindset of just extracting everything possible and rejecting the myth that technology alone will fix our ecological crises, it requires a holistic approach.
Finally, AI in warfare. This sounds particularly problematic from their perspective.
Highly problematic. Their definition of peace is key, not just no war, but order, justice, fraternity.
Right.
Remote warfare, they argue, can make the devastation seem less real, lessen the sense of responsibility.
And lethal autonomous weapons laws
Were singled out as a grave ethical concern. Why? Because they lack human moral judgment. that capacity for ethical reasoning we talked about earlier. The document includes a really strong call for human control, quoting Pope Francis again. No machine should ever choose to take the life of a human being.
Wow. That's unambiguous.
Very. Beyond that core issue, there are also risks of misuse by bad actors and creating a destabilizing arms race with these autonomous systems. So military AI needs the absolute highest ethical scrutiny, always respecting human dignity and life.
That is a lot. A really comprehensive look at the challenges. So how does the document wrap this all up? It seems to bring it back to the human person.
It does. It powerfully argues that as technology grows, there needs to be a proportionate growth in human responsibility, in values, in conscience.
So tech gets more powerful, we need to get better.
Essentially, yes. The core question it poses is, are we, through all this progress, actually becoming better humans?
Yeah.
More spiritually mature, more aware of dignity, more responsible, more open to each other.
So the evaluation falls on us. For every specific use of AI, we have to ask, does this promote dignity? Does it align with our human calling? Does it serve the common good?
Exactly. At every level, individual, societal, global. It calls for adopting a mindset of what they term relational intelligence, recognizing we're all connected, all responsible together in navigating this new era. The challenges ultimately are seen as spiritual.
And this means we need a renewed appreciation for what makes us human, right? They quote Georges Bernanos warning about only desiring what machines can give us.
Yes, there's a danger highlighted there, digital reductionism, where we start to ignore or forget the parts of life that aren't easily measured or computed.
Right.
AI should complement human richness, not replace it. We need to actively cultivate those parts of ourselves that go beyond computation.
So what's needed isn't just smarter AI, but wisdom.
True wisdom, yes.
Yeah.
A wisdom of the heart, as Pope Francis calls it. It's that capacity to see the whole picture, integrate the parts, understand consequences.
And you can't get that from a machine.
No. The document insists it's found by those who seek it, who love it.
And it even suggests we might need help, grace, to look at things with God's eyes.
Ultimately, the document concludes that human perfection, our true measure, isn't about how much knowledge we accumulate, but about our capacity for love, for charity.
Wow.
In the age of AI, the real test of our humanity, according to this note, will be how we use this incredibly powerful tool to include the least of our brothers and sisters, the vulnerable, and those most in need. That's the final quote from Pope Francis they use.
This document really gives us so much to chew on. It draws such a clear contrast between AI's functional intelligence and the sheer complexity, the embodiment, the relational nature, the truth-seeking drive of human intelligence.
And it lays out a very clear ethical framework, doesn't it? Rooted firmly in human dignity, the common good, insisting that AI, because it's made by us, has to serve us, serve humanity, never the other way around. The responsibility stays with us.
Yeah, from healthcare to warfare, education to relationships, the message seems consistent. Technology is a powerful tool, but we have to guide it with wisdom, with conscience, aiming for what's true and good and beautiful.
Absolutely. The core challenge here isn't just technical, is it? It's deeply human. It's spiritual. It's really a call for all of us to cultivate our uniquely human capacities. Empathy, critical thinking, moral judgment, our relationships with each other, and maybe with ultimate truth itself.
So here's maybe a final thought for you, the listener, to take away from this deep dive. In a world that's being more and more shaped by artificial intelligence, how can you personally nurture that wisdom of the heart the document talks about? How can you make sure that technology truly serves humanity and doesn't somehow subtly diminish what makes us truly human?
Reflect on that. Let it guide how you interact with AI, yes, but also how you interact with the people around you.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. We'll be back soon with another topic for you to explore.
As we wrap up this deep dive into the Vatican's note on the relationship between artificial intelligence and human intelligence, it's clear we've explored a topic of profound significance for our time. The source calls for us to reflect on AI with wisdom, both ancient and new, grounded in the Christian understanding of human intelligence as a gift reflecting the image of God. Throughout this conversation, we've seen how AI, a remarkable technological achievement, designed to imitate human intelligence, poses significant anthropological and ethical challenges across various domains, including interpersonal relationships, work, healthcare, and even warfare. While AI can perform sophisticated tasks with incredible speed and skill, often rivaling or surpassing humans, the note emphasizes that AI is fundamentally different from human intelligence. AI operates within a logical mathematical framework, relying on computational logic and statistical inference, whereas human intelligence is an integral part of the whole person, spiritual, cognitive, embodied, and relational. Human intelligence transcends mere functional tasks and includes capacities for semantic understanding, creativity, moral discernment, and establishing authentic relationships, none of which AI can replicate. This note serves as a powerful reminder that in an age increasingly shaped by AI, we need to cultivate what is most essentially human. It calls for a renewed appreciation of human relationships, which AI can only simulate, and emphasizes that true wisdom goes beyond the accumulation of data. It is a wisdom of the heart that integrates knowledge with love and guides us toward the true, the good, and the beautiful. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. I hope you've enjoyed it. I'm Dr. Jonathan Luckett, and this is AI Ascent. Good day.